Indians first came to North America in 1890s, but the real growth started from early 50s and through the 60s and into 70s. The first Indians that really made a difference here came in 70s, and most of them were doctors or engineers. With them grew the interest of the mainstream about them and about India. And the initial focus was about India's classical music and performing arts. The first luminaries that made the impact were Pandit Ravi Shankar, late Ustad Vilayat Khan Sahib, late Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib. But the West continued to get thrilled with the Indian classical music, and this continued with the growth and with the arrival of Amjad Ali Khan, Pandit Birju Maharaj, Pandit Jasraj, Shiv Kumar Sharma, Hari Prasad Chaurasia, Zakir Hussain, among others. These maestros continued to perform in small schools, auditoriums, sometimes in personal basements, and eventually they grew into performing at the large concert halls like Lincoln Center, like Carnegie Hall. Many organizations continued to present them, including Asia Society, World Music Institute, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, and recently Rubin Museum, Brooklyn Museum, Museum of Modern Art. And in the early 2000s, when Indians really made an impact here in every space, every field, especially being declared amongst one of the wealthiest, one visionary, one eminent personality from India saw it coming and founded what is called the Indo-American Council Art. With us today is the founder of Indo-American Arts Council, which is a secular service and resource art organization charged with the mission of promoting and building the awareness, creation, production, exhibition, publication, and performance of Indian and cross-cultural arts forms in North America, and with its focus to work with artists and art organizations in North America, as well as to facilitate artists and arts organizations from India to exhibit, perform, and produce their works in this country. We have with us today Indo-American Art Council, the leading force, making Asian Indians proud of their culture and heritage. Arun Shivdasani, the founder of the organization and the executive director. And with her is the director of the most important part of the organization, the film festival, Mr. Asim Chabra. So Arun, you started this almost in 2002.
No, I started it in 98. You know, you've said quite a bit that all these luminaries are around, and they are, and they have been. But the reason I started this in 98 was because really North America wasn't aware that Indian artists or artistic disciplines were alive and well today. All these people existed and more. And you talked about people in music, but there was in all the performing arts, visual arts, literary arts. They've been around for ages, but people didn't really recognize them. And you know, one would go to the opera and one heard Pavarotti and Callas, etc. But where were the Indians? Not on any mainstream stage. As far as the Indian actors were concerned in this country, now we've got Asif, who, by the way, was nurtured by the IAC with Jon Stewart. But at that time, the only Asian actors from the subcontinent were either as taxi drivers or as an Arab terrorist. Even that came later.
Right.
But not at all anywhere. And there were Indians who were, as you said earlier, they were in the IT, they were in the medical field, they were all over the place. So people had this impression that Indians are either diplomats, IT or medical, or they're taxi drivers and newspaper vendors. There was nothing in between. And the arts did not exist. As far as most North Americans were concerned, the arts were Ajanta, Ellora, people riding elephants, etc. And one had to break that mold.
True.
That doesn't mean that they weren't aficionados who knew about it, who knew about Satyajit Ray, who knew about other people. But the common man had no idea. We had to make sure that Indian American artists got a stage, got a platform, were able to display their talent, and were in mainstream venues. And that's what we've done for them.
This is when you continue to say we, and we as an outside see IAAC with a single person for now behind it, which is Arun Shivdasani. I'm very happy to know it's a we actually. We'll touch that as we go along, but let us know this person, Arun Shivdasani. Who is Arun Shivdasani?
Well, I don't know what aspect you want to know of me.
Purely from what came to your mind, what made you think you could have started an IT company, you could have started a marketing company, you could have started probably a candy store, and you chose to do something.
Not a chance.
So what makes Arun Shivdasani to take such a unique step in this direction?
Well, it wasn't unique for me at all, because I've always been involved in the arts. I myself used to act and sing and dance and do everything possible. My mother was a drama teacher, my sister's an artist, so our family was embedded in the arts always. And even before I started this, I used to work with organizations like CRY and Saki and this and that, fundraising for them through the arts, because the arts is what I knew best, and I knew people in the arts. So it was a natural corollary for me, because when I realized with another person, really, it wasn't me alone, Jonathan Hollander, who's the artistic director of the Battery Dance Company, the two of us happened to be at the Indian consulate one day, and they had a meeting of a lot of people in the arts, and what came out of that was that nobody was aware of Indian arts in general. I'm not talking about specifics. And that Indian arts weren't on a stage, and there was no sharing of information. It's not that the Bhavan didn't exist, that Asia Society didn't exist, but Asia Society was seen as a very elitist organization, and people, unless they were part of that elite few, did not get involved. The Bhavan had a converted audience. They were almost preaching to the choir. They had their audience, they were happy with it, and they never shared information. They did good work, but the information was not out there for everyone. And otherwise, people would come and go to these places and no one knew that it existed. So we decided we were going to form an organization that would present this, would give these, as I said, give these artists a platform, and would make North America sit up and notice artists from the subcontinent.
So essentially, it's your upbringing, your family, and your observation.
Absolutely. Even at home, we used to have, my mother was very involved in bringing us teachers to teach us dancing and singing and everything. So I've done it all. So when I present all this, I know what I'm talking about.
Now, Arun, you mentioned Jonathan Hollander, who is the founder of Battery Dance Company, and Robert Browning from World Music Institute, even Bhavan. They all have been trying, and the real factor is, which is also a mandate for you in your mission statement, resources.
Yes.
Now, you say one of the most important, which is your initial challenges, is raise enough money to be able to sponsor artist activities and function as a central clearinghouse for funds for the artist discipline. Where did you raise this money?
Actually, we're still trying.
Never enough.
We are 14 years old, but you know, as with anything in this world, there are ups and downs. We started off with a core, and then we were doing pretty well. We still are, programmatically, audience-wise, doing very well. But then the country hit a sort of financial break point in 2008. Everyone suffered. And the arts are always the first to suffer. So we were the ones who really got badly hit. And since then, I call myself the fakir of New York, because instead of building a base whereby you can do exactly what we want to do, be able to fund all these things, anything we do, we're out there begging aficionados and corporates who are interested in it or have corporate social responsibilities to give us the money.
I wonder, if you look at the North America or even in the first world countries, there are philanthropists. They are the people who have made it, and they have set up their own fund, their own trust, their own organization to support. Why is that, despite Indians who have done exceedingly well in this country, made tons of money, have never founded any such organization which can support an effort like yours? Why is that?
Well, I can't answer all those questions. I don't know why they don't support me. I do know it's unfortunate, but Indians do not have a culture of giving. It's a very unfortunate thing to say, but Indians give to temples and mosques and churches and stuff because, I don't know, religion seems to say it's okay to give to religion, and people collect brownie points for going up there. But as far as the arts are concerned, people see it as a luxury. And it's not that the federal, state, and local governments don't have funding for it, but it's small. There are many of us out there asking for the same amount, and even for them, whenever their budget cuts, which we are in a recession, whether we admit it or not, the first thing that goes is the arts. And these corporations, that's the same thing. The arts budgets always get smaller and go first. So you really need, I think we really need a godfather out there who loves the arts, is passionate about it, and knows that we're an arts council. We cover all of it. We're not zeroing in on, for example, the World Music Institute does a fabulous job.
Absolutely.
But it's music.
Yeah.
What we are doing is music, dance, art, film, across the board, all of it.
Right. Now, as you said, the funds were difficult, and when you go and, I have worked with some of these luminaries, they're not cheap, they're expensive.
Of course.
And when you went out to go get even an artist like Ustad Vilayat Khan or Pandit Ravi Shankar, how did you manage to convince them for smaller budget which you may have had? Was it a challenge to bring them even on? They normally first negotiate, their managers come in and the big numbers are being talked about before they even give you a date.
Well, I have to say I've been very lucky. I don't talk to anyone's managers. I always talk directly to the artist, and irrespective who the artist is, as I said, I've been fortunate. I've been able to talk to them directly. And then we have a few artists who are on our advisory board who love the IAC and actually open many doors for us. Shabana Azmi, Salman Rushdie, Meera Nair, Shashi Tharoor, Deepa Mehta, they also open doors for us and make it possible for us to meet others and approach others. And I do believe that most people in the arts, once they see, including Vilayat Khan, because his son Sujat is a good friend, once they see that someone is trying to give artists a platform, is a not-for-profit. That's a very important thing. We're a not-for-profit, and if anyone helps us, they get a tax deduction. Now, that doesn't mean the artists themselves, they all need to pay their rent and eat their food.
Right.
They all need fees. However, they do make a better deal for us because we're a not-for-profit. A lot of them don't charge us at all. And if they do, they charge us a small enough amount, or they'll say they'll split the box with us. We do different arrangements with people, but to date I've been very lucky. And I must say that all the artists we work with, we do give them a platform, but they're good to us too.
You touched the subject of a board which helps you, the advisory board. That itself, if you look at your advisory board, you have Shabana Azmi, you have Madhur Jaffrey, you have Shashi Tharoor, Meera Nair, Salman Rushdie, Malika Sarabhai, Ambassador Neelam Deo. They are themselves luminaries in their own way. How did you get them on board first?
They're friends.
Then you're certainly fortunate to have great friends with you.
I said I'm lucky.
And we have obviously with you today the director of the film festival, and we'll come back to you after this short break and we'll talk about the hardcore work of this beautiful council you people have developed and how it continues to move from year to year and continues to grow in quality and presentation. We'll be right back once again with the leading force, Indo-American Arts Council, with Arun Shivdasani and Asim Chhabra. Stay there.